Welcome everybody to my review for the DioField Chronicle played on the PlayStation 5. As it says on the screen, there are some minor spoilers in this. I'm going to play some B-roll behind the scenes of me just grinding up to get to the max level in the game to get the final achievement to get the platinum. And I thought, actually, while that's there, it's probably worth me doing a bit more of a detailed review than I do at the end of my playthrough. And a bit of a funny one is I'm going to send this review out before the first episode of this game is out on the channel. So again, another little bit of a weird one, but I feel like this game needs a bit of attention. So yeah, final sort of warning for spoilers if you don't want to see anything. The footage behind will be of a couple of main missions, but skipped out all of the dialogue options. And also just some of the other sort of side missions and stuff there is quite far into the game. So yeah, be warned if that's there. But you don't really get anything from the snippets from that. But it is just the combats, the characters, and some of the moves that you can get access to. So yeah, if you don't want to do that or see that, then please just minimize and listen. But final warning, let's get going. So say in the background you will see some gameplay there, but what is DioField first I think is the best thing that we can do here. So DioField Chronicle is marketed as a real-time tactical RPG. So the game clock will always keep moving, and everything you do is in real time. So you select missions, everything be done. What you can do though is pause, and you'll see up on the screen I'm selecting option abilities. While you're doing that, the game is paused, so it's more of a real-time plus pause tactical RPG. Yes, there's no sort of turn order queue. It's just you keep hitting, and when you're not doing anything, there's like auto attacks for basic damage. I'll come on to the real-time plus pause bit when I come over into the gameplay review of that, but yeah, it's not unique. If you really want to think of it, I've got gameplay up of something like Age of Darkness. Is a different game, but still a real-time tactical game. You know, you move units from one place to another, you execute certain things, and it's all in real time. So the game clock is constantly going, but you can pause. So you can push a button, it brings up a menu, it will pause the game. Yeah, or think in Age of Darkness for space and it pauses unless you're on the hardest difficulty. And again, we'll come back to that shortly. So yeah, you go and do some stuff in real time and go on. What is sort of the main loop of the game? So you have a central base. I'll try not to give away too many spoilers for the story and stuff, so we'll come on to that in a minute. But you have a central base, you select a mission within that base, you go out to an area, and there's a really good like opening scene for that area. You have some win conditions which are generally the same. You win, you return, you come back with some sort of materials, or you get materials and stuff from doing the side bits of a mission. You go and make yourself better by getting more gear, accessories, skills. You then go and select another mission and progress and repeat. That's the general sort of gist. Central base, come out, do it, come back in. Each little mission is tied to itself. While in a mission, you can also, as you see in the top right hand side of the screen, you can double the speed to make it go along a little bit quicker. That's the general gist of DioField. What you can see on the screen is the general gist. Yeah, that's what it is. Let's move on to the story, shall we? Because I think this one is, yeah, it's going to be good. I just need to make a couple of notes. That's so story. So the story for me is surprisingly good, actually. There is twists and turns through the story. It was a lot better than I was anticipating. I've just come off playing Valkyrie Profile, where I didn't have Valkyrie Elysium, sorry, where I had no interest really of the story as I was starting to get through that. It was quite graining. This one, actually, it's quite a believable story. you know, it's basically people coming to try and take on an island, and how you push back, infighting, power, you know, power differences between. There is a good mix of the actions within your missions having story implications. You then get an update of what's happening around the peripherals through sort of cutscenes, all nicely tied in. Even most of the side missions that you get, so that, you know, the non-required main, you know, missions have decent explanations of why you want to go and do them. Decent is quite loose. One literally is go and get some meat to make some better food, but it gives you a reason for doing it, is what I'm trying to get. And then there's the ending. The ending of this game is a proper twist. Didn't see it coming. Really surprised to see that was coming. Within the story, there is good character development. So, you know, it's a standard RPG type mechanic. You are a minion, or you start off as a mercenary, and, you know, you go through some ranks and stuff. And when you get to the end of the game, it's a completely different kettle of fish. And yeah, there's good development of the main core people. There's quite a few characters in the end. I think there's 20 odd characters you get in the end, something like that. I haven't actually counted them. They don't all get the same journey through, especially the characters towards the end. You tend to get like one or two missions where they're sort of influencing, but especially the beginning characters at the start of the game who come along the journey with you, they're well fleshed out, in my opinion, and their motives. There are some annoying characters. Walter Quinn, who you get really soon, she goes on a good journey, but she is annoying as hell. Already didn't like her. So yeah, that's the story. Really good actually. Beyond exceeded my expectations of what the story was going to be about. So let's go on. While we're talking about people, let's talk about the units themselves. So generally there is 4 factions, or 4 types of unit. You've got your sword users, your magic users, your range users, and sort of mounted users. So that's either with a horse or wyverns. So there's quite a good bit of variety within that 4 classes. Within this sort of this sword defense type ones, there's 3 subclasses: so sword and shield, assassin, and tanky sort of axes. Within the riding class, you have claws, which is your wyverns, and you have your lances, which are your horses. Then you have your 2 mages, and then you have bow and arrow and crossbows. And each one of them sub-factions has their own unique abilities. So yeah, there is quite a bit of setup. And what you can have, as you see on here, you've got 4 people on the main party. Each of them 4 people can have like a sub person underneath them, so you can get access to their abilities as well. So you can get some quite good mixing and matching on there. So Andreas, for instance, has Catherine on the screen, as you might be able to flick through it. I'm just using stun shot on the background footage. That is a secondary person whose abilities I can get access to from the main person on the field. So again, lots of things you can do to and from. Pretty early on, I settled into a certain type of play style that I carried on through, and as new characters, new units were coming in, it didn't really change. I would take a little bit of a look at their abilities and see if they wanted to become secondary party members. Again, I'll come on to sort of the gameplay side in a minute, but it kept it a little bit safe. But as I say, I found a really decent way of going through playing the game, and yeah, it came up. The main protagonist, Andreas, is like brokenly overpowered in the game. You'll see me in the B-roll footage behind using his abilities a lot. He's just like a tactical nuke, single fire tactical nuke on enemies. And there is a mission in the game where you don't get access to him, and that is significantly harder without him than it is when you play with him, because you can go in and replay any mission in the game. So every mission in the game you can replay. You unlock it during the story. go back in, and you can go back in, and this is how I'm basically what I'm doing to repeat on the fortress behind. So yeah, but he is OP, and you come back in and you just literally just walk the park, and it's like this mission where you don't get to use him through the main story progression. But with that variety of the units, there is a lot of replayability for challenge runs. Would I replay this game? I'm going to get this out here quite early. Would I replay this game basically as I've played it again? No. Would I replay the game with a challenge run? Yes. So you can't just use all mages because there's not 8 mages in the game. But I would do a challenge run where there's no, where I can't use Andreas, the main protagonist in the game. That would be very, very difficult off the start because you have limited units anyway. But he is such a tactical nuke that it will make a lot of the other missions very hard to do. Yeah, again, there's scope for challenge runs because of that unit. What would I improve? There's a lot of characters that are very similar. Now, each individual character has their own. Skill tree is not the right thing. You can go in and spend sort of points that they get from leveling up to go and do passive abilities. So there's one, again, one of the characters that you get. He's able to regenerate EP, which is like your mana in this, over time. So over time, you can just keep, you know, it keeps refreshing. And then later in the game, you can buy items that can help with that as well for other characters. But he's the first one that gets it. He's a mage. And you can literally just spam his abilities. So he's obviously going to be a frontliner to get access to that. But then the other stuff in there, I didn't really... It got to a point where I didn't need to really think about it. Once, you know, you've got a certain core, like there's one that for Andreas that when he's got... The enemy's got a status effect, it does more damage. Cool. So his tactical nuke becomes even more of a, you know, more damaging. They're not massively critical. And again, the way that I ended up playing was literally setting up the enemies to just be hit with assassination. So using all, you know, their basics to do it. And then you go in and nuke him. So that, you know, it's a bit weird. So going in and doing yeah, challenge runs, or what I would probably have preferred is to make the individual characters' stats very, very unique. Give them access to unique abilities just for themselves to give it a bit more variety. Because I got about halfway through the game and I just stopped really caring, and I was just saving up to get 10 EP or AP or whatever it is, and just get one of the main perks. And before then, I wasn't really caring. I didn't see much benefit in all of that. Skill tree for the abilities that you get off weapons, yes, but yeah, a bit more uniqueness, a bit more, it's maybe unique abilities per person. Of that would have been a little bit better, but again, there is a lot of variety in the units that you can use to customize different styles of playthrough for the game and challenge yourself a bit more, because it is an easy game. So let's talk about the gameplay while I'm saying that the game is easy. Why is it easy? So the game is, it's very predictable, the gameplay loop. When I released the walkthrough, you know, the gameplay walkthrough that I've got for the game, you'll see that I do actually fail a couple of missions, but that's generally because I've got complacent. You go in, you think you can rush it, and you know, I get into my gameplay loop of getting the tank to come in, drop down his big sort of shieldy thing, and then set the other characters up to do some back attacks, because back attacks you will do more damage, burn through their health bar, move on to the next one, set up assassinate, and then at one point you can get assassinated just to refresh on when there's a kill, it just refreshes. So there's no cooldown on it. And then you have Shadow Step for Andreas, who you can just pump behind. 3 seconds later you can do assassinate, because it's got a really short cooldown, Shadow Step. or Shadow Strike, one of the two, whatever it's called. And you get into this really easy loop. So you just set the enemy up to expose their backs to the two supporting people who are there to just to stop character abilities going off. And you'll see that in the B-roll footage that I'm behind. Shield wall comes in, bang. There it is. Position everyone else. And then you do a stun shot to stop, you know, their abilities and just go in and nuke them. And once you get that nailed down, the game becomes incredibly easy. You can manipulate the enemy AI, and yeah, it's easy. The other reason why it's easy is coming back to that real time with pause. So at the moment on the screen there's a big red circle around, and that's an enemy ability that's been charged up. What you can get to is just you get that to go really, really full, position your allies so that you can interrupt that and do a move, interrupts it, it cancels it out, crack on. Because you can pause while selecting the ability, you can, say, get it fill up just before it's about to execute, do a special move, and or you drop down like a summon, which I'll come on to later, and yeah, stop it. I would like a harder difficulty that stops that pause element. So that as soon as you see that red circle or red line or red bar, you have to go in quickly, select the character, and bang. Take that out at the beginning. You're going to get hit by these abilities more. When they hit, sometimes they really, really hit hard. And just, you know, take out that pause element to stop you being able to just cheese your way through. So yeah, that'd be good. I'd also say going back into some uniqueness for party members. And there's a sort of, in the story, there's a couple of missions where you're going to the other side of the island. I'd like a deeper combat system where they're off and you're over there, and while that's happening, something else happens on the other side of the island. So you've sent out these 8 people over here, and you've got probably 12 people left. Go, and they have to go and respond. Now there's one mission in the game that does that, and again that takes Andreas away from you for that bit. I'd like to see that a bit more, just to encourage you to use different units a bit more. I ended up using the same 8 people for 80% of the game, and that's only because that's when I got my 8th person in the game to do it. Yeah, a bit more variety in that, a bit more deeper combat. Again, the only time you couldn't really cheese is against some of the bosses. So a boss is one of the ones that has, like, there'll be a red dot above their health bar. You've got 2 health bars to get through. During each of that health dots, if I hit them with a stun, they basically become immune to stun again. If they then try and do an ability, and I've already stunned them, I can't then put stun on again to block that ability, but then I can freeze them with Fenrir or Ice Binders are quite often used. I'd like that, you know, maybe they become immune to, you know, an enemy that is immune to status effects, so you can't interrupt it. Again, a bit more variety on that sort of sense. The other thing that's sort of mentioned is I use Fenrir a few times in here. The summon element in that is really, really good. I want a wider variety. There's sort of a couple of supports, one I never used. And then there's, I think, 3 damage dealers. And I ended up using Fenrir because, again, it's got a panic freeze. So if there's a lot of abilities and I've got cooldowns that I haven't managed properly, I can freeze and block, which is quite nice. But barring that, they didn't really feel needed. And you get up to 6 sort of TP bars. There's not one mission in this game that I would have filled that TP gauge up to 6. So I don't know, you know, beyond, I don't think I did it beyond 3. If memory comes to shove, you know, push comes to shove. So again, a bit more variety in this summoning front would have been good. But generally, gameplay, you know, the general gameplay battle loop, it was enjoyable. Yes, you're going in and doing a very similar thing against the same enemies, but the maps are quite varied. That's why I've tried to showcase in the B-roll behind a couple of different missions, just to showcase the maps. There's one where you just go and clear all the enemies out. There's obviously you have to go and secure a turret to open up a gate or drop down a bridge, move on through very corridory. Enemies have a patrol pattern. So yeah, it's yeah, it's very, very different. You know, the maps are different. There's it makes use of elevation for some of the cannons, and cannons when you first see them are really, really scary. By the end of it, I was just assassinating them in one hit because, again, Andreas OP. But yeah, let's say the general loop that you go into for the gameplay, the missions, and all of that stuff, it's really, really enjoyable. So yeah, there is the gameplay stuff. Let's talk about voice acting while we're here. So the majority of the game is voice acted. Well, a lot of the game is voice acted, and generally it's well done. There's a couple of characters where they're like, "Are you interested in doing your voice recording?" Iskarin was the one that first jumped out at me as being out of place for that, but generally well done. The only weird thing about it, and again, this is all in English. You can choose Japanese, I think, as well. But the weird thing is that there's other parts that aren't voice acted. But that's, you know, so you go into a main mission and you come into when you start the main mission, you get a nice table. You know, they're sat around a table, you know, strategizing how they're going to operate this mission. You know, that's all voice acted, and you know, very well voice acted in my opinion. All that good stuff. You go into the mission. You normally get some preamble at the start, voice acted. You clear the mission, and you get some post sort of main mission blurb, voice acted. You come back to the sort of the base, and then there's people come up. You go and talk to people, or the first interaction, someone as you first come in, it's not voice acted, but they're talking about the mission that you just done. Really, really weird. You know, some of the stuff for side missions and stuff, I could let them off not being voice acted, but in modern times with modern consoles and PCs and stuff having massive storage spaces, I don't see why they haven't not voice acted everything in the game. It's really weird. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one that suddenly you're not voice acting and you're going through and they make these grunts and groans and, you know, well done and I'm on it type things as they bring up different sort of dialogue boxes, and they don't always tie up with what's being said. Bit weird, but yeah, that's the voice acting. Again, I can't really grimble apart from the fact I preferred most of it to have been voice acted. Music is a weird one for me in this game. I didn't really notice it.
Yes, I'm going.
I'm not sure if that's because I was concentrated on the gameplay or if the sound effects had overthrown the music. Generally, I have music in the slider down, as, you know, lower than the others because music generally is the thing that's the loudest, and you turn it down to not drown out everything. Here's looking at you, Valkyrie profile, Elysium, again. But yeah, it didn't stand out, so I can't really comment whether it's good or not because I didn't really hear it. But I didn't really miss it. It was just like, if it's the, you know, it's background hum in the end, which is yeah,
I'm going.
a bit weird to say. Normally, you know, you start humming tracks and stuff, and like if I was to think of sort of a Final Fantasy type game, you know, you hum the battle music, you hum the main music. Yeah, a bit weird. They didn't really pick that up in here, but you know, it is what it is. I can't give it a positive or a negative on that. Next up, I want to talk is about the art style on here. And I really enjoyed the art style, the look and feel of the game. The general graphics, I thought was pretty good. Didn't have any graphical glitches. To be honest, I didn't have any glitches. I had one crash of the game, which is captured in my Let's Play. But from a general art style, I like the look of the character models. I like the look of the enemy models. I like the look of the special attack, that you get to see. I'll have shown a couple of them through the B-roll at the back. Really enjoyed the art style. What I really liked is when you selected a mission and you go in, you get this sort of panoramic view coming round. I think they call it a diorama view or something. But you get this lay of the land battle, and when you push on, say, playing on the PlayStation 5, push R2 and it plans you out. I think I showcased that in this video. I'm not sure because I've recorded more than what I'm going to need. But yeah, you can pan out and have a look at the map, and it's really, really nice. It's really, really gorgeous. Really enjoyed, say, the art style of this. You can see a lot of effort has been made into this, and again, I'm going to compare Valkyrie Elysium. I didn't get that in there. It was very rushed, Valkyrie Elysium, and there's areas there where they didn't take the care, whereas this I did. And it's quite nice actually, because some of the settings that you have are very much, it looks like a tabletop down. You know, you can see the barriers on the screen, so it looks like a little tabletop contained area. Really, really good. Really enjoyed the art style of this. So thoroughly enjoyed the cinematics, even the cutscenes that are used in between missions and to push story along. Really, really well done. I think there needs to be high praise for that department. So yeah, for me that is a big boon. So finally, just to wrap things up then, my overall opinions of the game. It is a decent game. I've enjoyed playing it. It's taken me about 25 hours to get the platinum, and it is an easy platinum to get. Don't think there's any missables, and if there are, it might be character unlock. So as long as you're doing all of these side quests per chapter, you're not going to miss anything, because you can go back and do some replay all of the missions anyway. Literally every single main mission, every single side mission that they throw at you, you can go back and replay. You're not going to miss any of them. So yep. Yeah, the one that I had, so after I completed the main mission, the only things that I had left was to get 15 weapons, which is every single weapon of a certain unit class. So I did that for Andreas, because, you know, why not? And then to get to level 50, which is the maximum level cap. They were the two that I needed left to do. So easy plat to get. Again, 25 hours to get that. The game is easy, and to me they've tried to introduce, obviously, this real-time strategy with pause. I think they've kept it safe just to make sure they get a good game out of it. If there is a sequel to this game, and spoiler alert, I want them to be a sequel because I've enjoyed it and I would buy said sequel, I want them to push the boundaries more. You know, really push the limitations of this system. Again, put in a difficulty mode if they don't patch this, because I'd love for them to update this game with an extra difficulty mode, because there is a new game plus. I don't know why you'd want a new game plus, by the way, because yeah, you know, you can replay everything anyway. So unless you want to blitz through, but again, you can go back and play every single mission anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, put a challenge mod on. Maybe when you get to new game plus, give it the option to select that. At that point, you select this challenge difficulty, so you've got maxed out party members, and there's no pause. You know, do something like that to really push it. Again, a couple of points that I've made before: a bit more variety in the units, uniqueness of the units. So make it tangible that I'm using these certain units for this mission, but the next mission is I need to actually change my team. I didn't ever feel the need to change my team unless for the one mission I was forced to. Again, go back in and do more of that. Exploring one side of the map, if the next mission over the other side, I've got to use a different team. You know, double down on that, because that make it, make you think about actually who do I send over there, and give you the option of saying, you know what, I've sent these people over here, I now have to do this mission, but because maybe they're under leveled, I can go and use the system of going and leveling up other characters. So if I need to go and get another level to get another ability, or get some money to get another weapon for this character that I've never used before, you can do that. But again, make it so that if I'm off, using a party, I have to think about, well, it's set it up in the story saying, do you know what, we're getting attacked from 3 fronts, so we need to split our team out into 3 separate units. How are we going to do this? and then you pick your 3 teams for the unit, and the, the different battles and whatnot. Make it a bit more friendly, so it's not just a surprise out of nowhere that you can't use a team. But yeah, just expand that out, increase the difficulties to stop that pause, make some enemies immune to statuses, so I think that'd be great. So you can't, or can't be interrupted. So when they have to, so people have to move. So you can't just drop your tank in with his main issue, his main sort of ability. If he's going to do that and they're going to do this move, you have to break him out of that, put that on cooldown to open up the rest of your team to do. So yeah, it's good. Just push the mechanics out and exploit them more, to give a bit more variety in the gameplay and difficulty. But overall, it is a great entry. So if you're into looking for a real-time strategy with pause type game, again, Age of Darkness is not similar, but it has the same mechanics of real-time plus pause. But yeah, if you're looking for an entry into that, or into a tactical RPG game, this is a great entry for that, because again, it's not difficult. I played it on hard and it's not hard, especially once you start getting upgrades and stuff and you work out how to maximize the damage and reduce your damage. I'm not saying I didn't ever, I didn't complete every single mission first time with all the rewards. No, I've failed a couple of missions, and there's a couple of missions where I didn't get all the rewards. But again, generally comes down to complacency on my behalf. Trying to go off and get a treasure chest, and with my main damage dealer, leave it thinking the others could just handle it, and they couldn't. So yeah, it is a really good game. Thoroughly enjoyed playing it. If they do a sequel, it will be on my wish list and watch list to come out, because I have thoroughly enjoyed it. So this has been DioField Chronicle. I played on PlayStation 5. I believe it's available on Steam, Xbox, and Switch. I believe it's all platforms. Go and pick it up. Go and support the devs. Obviously, published by Square Enix, but it's been a game that I came in with minimal expectations. I played the demo, enjoyed the demo, was hoping for a variety, got some variety off it. Because I'm a little bit more, if you're looking for a score out of 10, it's probably going to be in the range for 7 out of 10. But thoroughly enjoyable. Not once did I sit there in this game and go, I've had enough. I just need to push through to get through the story and complete the game. I wouldn't do a grind up to level 50 to get the platinum if I didn't enjoy the combat mechanics of it and everything else. So yeah, really good game. Please go and pick it up. The playthrough will be on the channel shortly. I'll probably put a link at the end of this video for the playlist. It will come active. Comes out, that playthrough starts back end of October on the channel. But yeah, that has been the DioField Chronicle review after platinum in it, basically. So please like, comment, subscribe, and look good stuff. Let me know in the comments how you thought of the game, or what was good for you, what didn't work. Would you play a sequel? What can they improve on? How would you make changes for that sequel? All that stuff. Put a conversation in there, and we'll get going. Yeah. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notifications, all that good stuff. I say the playthrough of this game will be up shortly. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one.